Hi everyone, I'm Tamina.
And I'm Corinne.
And together we are
Embracing Genesis.
Today we're going to continue our conversation from last week, just talking a little bit about daydreams and visions and how you get stuck in the process, your mindset of overthinking and sometimes just not having the confidence and having self-doubt. So what you got, Ryan?
So I can speak on self-doubt.
Okay.
Self-doubt is one of those things that it's because you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. And so therefore you doubt your own abilities and you doubt your own gifts and talents. And so, for instance, so yesterday I spoke a little bit about, comparing yourself to others and the fact that if you compare yourself to the next woman and you are so caught up in what she accomplished and the things that she's achieved, one, you're missing out on what you can accomplish and what you can achieve.
Right.
But also with our own gifts and talents, you also have your own insecurities and struggles. And so if you're envious of the next woman, do you want her struggles and insecurities along with your own? So
no.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So while you over there, being all envious over what she's accomplished, you also have to remember that you don't know what it took for her to get to that point, and you don't know what it is that she struggles with on a day-to-day basis either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, another piece that goes in with self-doubt is sometimes because you have self-doubt, you end up overthinking a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I always like to say overthinking is like the older cousin to self-doubt, because once you have self-doubt, it's impossible for overthinking not to come along with it.
Exactly.
They're like tag team partners. And once you get in this process of overthinking, that's when your inner critic becomes quicker than your actions. Anytime your inner critic becomes quicker than your actions, you run the risk of actually burying your visions. And so when you deal with self-doubt, you have to pay conscious attention to how much you're overthinking. What's going on in your brain? How are you processing the information? And sometimes you just have to slow down, journal, reflect, so you can pause and come into this place that you can build confidence. Because without confidence, you can't crush your dreams. You can't kill your visions.
Exactly.
You can't execute nothing when you're missing confidence.
Yeah, and overthinking, that's the type of thing, you get so caught up in the loop. The thoughts come so fast.
Right.
It's like, it reminds me of that hamster that's on the wheel, and they be getting it. And they just be going and going and going and going and going. And that's how overthinking is. So if you can just kind of picture yourself on that wheel and just stop. And say, you know what, let me just pause, let me stop, let me take a breath.
Right.
And let me process all of these thoughts. And not even all the thoughts, just process what it is that I need to do. Because my vision is sitting here waiting on me. And if I keep trying to jump over all of these thoughts, I'm never going to get there.
At all.
So just process what it is. Process. And then move forward going from there. And I know it sounds a whole lot easier.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it takes work. It takes practice. You have to practice. But don't get overwhelmed, by the thoughts that's going constantly in your mind, or you'll never be able to move on to the vision that you want.
One of the things that I know that you're really good at, like at the beginning you mentioned about, dealing with self-doubt, but you're really good with kind of bringing that under, let's say, submission or subjection. So what do you do with mindful, because you do mindful practices a lot. So in your mindfulness practices, what's an example of something that you do that kind of helps with it?
So I'm going to use overthinking as an example.
Okay.
I am an overthinker. So for instance, so when we started working on our book, and you remember, because we had this conversation and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not a writer. Yeah. I don't do this. I didn't do this. I can't, figure this out. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you was
about
acting
this.
a donkey.
Yeah. You did. I remember. But that was my overthinking.
Yeah.
And so then finally, it took a minute, but when what finally got me there was because I had so much stuff going through my head, I couldn't listen to the voice, which, God, I couldn't hear him speaking to me because all I heard was me.
Right.
And so when I finally was like, girl, shut up, shut it down. You know what I'm saying? And just be still and just, be still and know, you know what I'm saying, that it's going to be okay. So during that time, I wasn't journaling like I should have. And so what I did was I began journaling, and every thought that came into my mind, I wrote it all out. This is what I'm dealing with. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. This is what these are the thoughts that I'm having. And even if it was repetitive, I wrote it down anyway, wrote it down again.
Yeah.
And so then I would go back and then I would be like, okay, so which one of these are not true? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what I would do. I would do like a check off. I'm like, okay, this is not true about me. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't true about me. And this isn't true about me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I would just remind myself, okay, what have you accomplished? And I would just write it down. Okay, I've done this and I've done this and I'm successful at this and I'm able to do this and this is who I am. So I have to remind myself who I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, even if it's something small, like, you know what, Corinne, I like the way you laugh, girl. You know what I'm saying? And just remind myself of who I am and the things that I have done. And like, it's okay to be where you are. It's okay to be, who you are. You see, because you may not be able to do the things that somebody else does, but this is who you are and this is what you bring to the table. And I had to be content in that.
Right.
So that's pretty much my process.
But sound like when you went through that mindfulness practice of just reminding yourself that I can do this, it canceled out all of the I can't. And what happens with self-doubt and when you're feeling overwhelmed, your mind is filled with all the things you cannot do. And so you're so focused on your failures that you forget that you have a lot of successes. Whether they're small or big, it doesn't matter. There is still success somewhere.
Yeah.
And so what you had to do is train your mind and reshift your focus to say, this is the areas that I'm successful in.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if I wasn't, because, you had to check off the things that were not true, right? Or were true. So there are some truths to the failures, right? It's sitting right in front of your face. But your goal is not to focus on the things that you can't do,
right?
But focus on the things that you can do and the things that you can achieve and the places that you have been successful at. And that's one of the things that I don't necessarily struggle with self-doubt. Sometimes I'm too confident and I need to slow down, right? And so, but I spend a lot of times speaking to myself or talking myself up and saying, girl, you can do this. Like, I am my number one star player, right? So like, girl, I'll pick you anytime to be on my team. And so I do a lot of like affirming of myself to say, Vina, you can do this. Like, man, and I'm not trying to offend any rapper or nothing, but I literally, what really motivates me is I look at people rap and I'm like, I don't know, what are you saying?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You are a billionaire.
And you sound like nonsense.
Right, what is that? So like, if you can make that much money and you can't even speak
properly,
surely I can do something with my life that's greater than what I see.
Yes.
So that gives me the confidence. So when self-doubt kicks in, sometimes I have to say, but other people do it all the time. And if they can do it, I surely possess what I need to do it. I might not have all the knowledge now, might not have all the wisdom, might not even have the resources. But what I do possess is the will and the power to know that I have purpose. And I'm going to attack everything that I see, every vision that I have with purpose. And so what happens is if doubt comes in or if overthinking comes in, my purpose begins to rise and I begin to speak and affirm myself, speak to myself and affirm, like, you are great. Like, you were put on this earth for a purpose. Chase your vision. Do you. Because can't nobody do you, Vina, like you can. So, like, let's get it. So that's how I overcome doubt or overthinking is I literally just say, baby girl, you got this. Like, just go kill the game.
Yeah. And for me, that took practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I spent so much of my life talking down to myself, you know what I'm saying? Because, well, you're only worth this.
Yeah.
You're only, capable of this. This is all the ability that you have. And so anybody who finds themselves in that position, which is a lot of people who do, you know what I'm saying? Like, they spend their entire lives talking down to themselves or having someone talking down to them. And when you hear something so many times, whether it's someone else speaking it to you or you speaking it to yourself, you begin to believe it.
Yeah.
And so it takes practice to say, you know what, that's not true about me. I can do this. You know what I'm saying? That's not true about me either. I got this. And yeah, I may have, not have, hit the mark that time, but I can do it the next time. And that takes practice. But the thing about it is, when you do get kind of hit with the blow and that self-doubt comes in and that overthinking gets in, you have to remember okay, no, this is not what I'm going to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to remember that I'm going to practice affirming myself.
Absolutely.
And I don't care. I don't know if this quote comes into play like in elementary school. Practice makes perfect. Keep doing it until you're able to get it perfected.
Right.
Do it until you believe it. You know what I'm saying? Say it till you believe it. If you got to put sticky notes all over your house to affirm yourself until you believe those things, then do that, because there's nothing more frustrating than knowing that you have the ability to do something, but you're stopping yourself.
Yeah.
Because of the thoughts and the things that are going in your mind. And then, years pass by and you're like, you know what, I could have done that. And I wasted all this time talking down to myself. And the thing about it is we want women especially to know that you don't have to stop. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want you to quit at the first, sign of, what is it called? The first time you get some, girl, I'm trying to find a word, but the first,
like pushback.
Yeah, the first sign of pushback, you quit, and you're like, oh, I can't do it. That's too much. Like, no, you are so much stronger than you can, than you think you are.
Absolutely.
And I've had to learn that. It took practice.
It does. Like you said, practice makes perfect. By the way, I had no clue what you were talking about. I don't know what word you want.
Yeah,
give me
like
more, Ren. Give me more. Yeah, there you go.
Or apprehension or something, or whatever it was. But I couldn't find a word. I was like, come to me. Come to me.
It did come. It might have came late, but it still was on time. Yes, it was. But, you got anything else you want to add about overthinking or overwhelmed, self-doubt?
I just want to let you ladies know that everybody goes through it. Everybody has moments of self-doubt. Everybody has moments of overthinking. But, when you learn to move past that and move forward, you become a superwoman. And you can do anything, and anything is possible. And your vision is sitting there waiting for you. So go get it.
I like just go get it.
Yeah.
It is definitely waiting for you. And like Corinne said, take moments to affirm yourself. There's only one difference between people who accomplish their visions and people who don't, and it's their belief system.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that you can make it happen for yourself, it's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
You will become a product of your belief system.
Yes.
It's that self-fulfilling prophecy. So fulfill a prophecy in your life, but let it be that you can do it, that you are capable of doing it, and grind hard for it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be an easy walk. There's nothing in our life that is easy, but we all can do it. We all can accomplish everything that we want to accomplish.
Right.
So just to recap, understand that self-doubt is real, and it comes when we lack confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have self-doubt, the next thing that comes along is you begin to overthink. And you have to make sure that your actions are quicker than your inner critic.
Yes.
Because at which point your inner critic becomes quicker than your actions, it will bury your visions. Mm-hmm. It will bury everything that you have in your mind, in your life that you want to do, that you want to accomplish it. It'll bring death to it.
Yes.
And at this time of our lives, there's no better time to speak life and to bring life into the things that we want to do and the things that we want to accomplish. So we appreciate you for taking this time, talking to Corinne and myself.
Yes.
Don't forget to follow,
like,
and subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Facebook,
our Twitter,
Instagram.
And we appreciate y'all so much. Have a wonderful night.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
y'all. See y'all next week.
See ya.